The second level of protection for your company name comes from the reservation of its domain name. The choice of your company name and the choice of its primary domain name are intrinsically linked. Today, you can no longer choose a company name without checking at the same time the availability of the domain name. The characteristics of the domain name are identical to those of your company name. Indeed, your domain name must be short, must be easy to write and easy to spell, must have a meaning that is easy to understand, must be easy to pronounce, must have a pleasant sound, must have a pleasant visual appearance, and must be unique, memorable, and attractive. But which domain name should you choose? Despite the multiplicity of extensions available on the market, the domain name to choose is ideally the one ending with the .com extension. This is the best known and most popular extension in the world. If the .com extension is not available, but the .net extension is, do not choose it. The natural instinct of the consumer is to use the .com extension. If you choose the .net extension for not being able to get its .com colleague, the risk of confusion in the minds of your potential customers will be permanent. A riskier strategy is to still choose the .net domain name and wait for the .com to become available. But the risk is big. The .com name may never become available. When it becomes available, its owner will be aware of the existence of your .net domain name, allowing them to request an inflated purchase price. In addition, what will be the history of the coveted domain name? Will it have been subjected to Google's wrath for prohibited practices? During all this time, confusion will reign in the minds of your potential customers. Another strategy is to choose a domain name that includes your company name and add an action word by adding a prefix, getdropbox.com, which became dropbox.com, goharrisjewelry.com, hellosmithgarage.com, mycoffee.com, or by adding a suffix, coffeeonline.com. Another strategy is to choose a domain name that has an extension specific to your field of activity. Here is a partial list of descriptive extensions: .app, .business, .cafe, .cloud, .club, .expert, .kitchen, .media, .photography, .pizza, .restaurant, .salon, .science, .shop, .sport, .store, .tech, .training, and .wine. Another strategy is to choose a domain name with a geographic extension. Some are very well established in the minds of consumers. For example, domain names ending in .ca and .fr resonate positively in the minds of Canadian and French residents. However, this is not the case in the United States, where the .us extension is not very popular. If you have international plans, it is better to choose a .com domain name or a descriptive extension. Later on, you will be able to reserve country-specific domain names, where your company will be located and where your company will do business. In most cases, the domain name and your company name should be identical. Indeed, experts agree that Google attaches great importance to the correlation between the two names. It is logical that this correlation should also be made in the minds of your potential customers. For example, if your company name is A Bar Furniture, its domain name should be abarfurniture.com and not afurniture.com. When you start the process of choosing your company name, you must at the same time check the availability of its domain name. The rules to follow are simple. Make sure to choose a .com domain name or, if not available, a domain name with a descriptive or geographic extension. Reserve at least 10 domain names with various extensions as a defensive measure. Redirect all or part of these domain names to your main one. For example, if visitors indicate gogopro.net in the address bar of their browser, they will see the gogopro.com site appear. In addition to the primary domain name you have chosen, you should also reserve derivative or similar domain names, including those with a typographical error. Several large companies have done so: Amazon, Facebook, Google. You can also reserve a shortened version of your domain name. The logic applicable to domain names is exactly the same as that applicable to company names. Shorter is better. Amazon, amzn.to, American Airlines, aa.com, Facebook, fb.com, fb.me, i.org, Hewlett-Packard, hpe.com, hp.com, LinkedIn, linked.in, Messenger, m.me, Pitney Bowes, pb.com, Wall Street Journal, wsj.com, and Weight Watchers, ww.com. As a preventive measure, you can also acquire negative domain names, as Facebook does on a regular basis. AboutFacebook.com, Facebook.adult, FacebookCheats.com, FacebookCreditsSuck.org, FBCreditsSuck.org, IHateFacebookCredits.com, IHateTheFacebookLikeButton.com, KillFacebook.com, LikeButtonSucks.com, LikeSucks.com. Several large American companies reserve domain names that may damage their image, but often anonymously. Domain names can be registered in the name of your company, in your own name, in the name of your holding company. Domain names should absolutely not be registered in the name of your employee, in the name of your webmaster, or in the name of your distributor. You must have exclusive, or at least shared, access to the control center for your domain names provided by your registrar. Many horror stories stem from giving employees or webmasters exclusive access to the company's domain name control center. If you have chosen the perfect name for your company, but the domain name is not available, there may be a solution. Since the popularity of the internet exploded, millions of people around the world have sniffed out the economic potential of owning domain names for subsequent resale. Therefore, there is a whole industry that has developed around the resale of domain names. Some domain names are sold by their owner without outside help. In such a case, there is a high risk of fraud. Your recourse against a fraudster, if any, can be complex, expensive, and risky. Other domain names are sold online through a specialized firm at a fixed price or by auction. Finally, several sites offer expired domain names for sale. In 2011, Apple paid more than $5 million to acquire the domain name iCloud.com. In 2015, Apple acquired 170 domain names containing the word iCloud. In the United States, there are several domain name registrars. Their websites usually include a powerful search tool, which offers several alternatives when the desired domain name is not available. Finally, here are 3 points you should remember. Point 1. B&H Photo, a New York store specializing in the sale of photo, video, and audio equipment, has nearly 500 domain names, the majority of which are redirected to the main domain, bhphotovideo.com. For its part, Google has over 3,000 domain names, while Facebook holds more than 3,500. Point 2. Do not broadcast your company name until you have reserved its main domain name and derived domain names. Otherwise, cybersquatters will be happy to make you regret it. This is what happened to Yahoo in early 2017, when the company decided to change its name to Altaba, following the sale of several assets. When the change was announced, Yahoo had only registered the domain name altaba.com. In just a few days, cybersquatters acquired dozens of domain names. Point 3. When he launched Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg registered the domain name thefacebook.com including the empty word the. He quickly realized that shorter is better. In 2005, he bought the domain name Facebook.com for $200,000. Then, he reserved nearly 2,000 domain names that are derived from the word Facebook. Finally, in 2010, Facebook acquired the domain name FB.com for a modest sum of $8.5 million.